Hey girl, so I heard that you are just about to become six figures or you are six figures and you're earning more money. So why does it still feel hard? This video is going to talk about my six money mistakes, what I wish I knew, and let me be real with you. Earning six figures doesn't all of a sudden mean you have $1 million lifestyle, but it doesn't mean that you stop feeling behind. And it definitely doesn't mean that you stop making mistakes. I know this because I experienced this myself. I started earning over $100,000 a year in 2022, and this didn't happen overnight. It took me 14 years in the corporate rat race. So naively, I thought that I made it. And I thought of things that you might think of like, I'll never have to worry about money again. I know I can buy whatever I want and not even have to think about it, or budgets. Who needs that? Oh, gross. I ended up more financially stressed than before, which is really odd because I was making more money. I made mistakes that I didn't expect to make at this income level. So here are some of the traps that you can avoid and actually feel in control of your money no matter how much you earn. So the very first mistake was thinking that six figures meant freedom. And it does mean freedom, but you have to have a plan. And that's part of what I was missing. So one of my money stories was that if I just earned six figures of income, I wouldn't have to worry anymore because I would finally have enough. But what does enough mean, right? My main money block, like many of you here, is scarcity. So when I hit six figures, I truly believed that I arrived, and I thought, I never have to budget anymore and I'm making really good money now. So earning six figures didn't actually feel like freedom at first. I was carrying a massive amount of debt. I had no clear financial direction, and I had to get very honest with myself. So when you are reaching six figures or you're close to six figures, you need to sit down and have a little chat with yourself and adjust your mindset. You need to have tools that you can also implement. Instead of letting your spending control you and your budget control you, you have to flip it the other way around. So having an abundant mindset doesn't mean that you're just spending without intention. And that's what I did. I just went crazy and just bought everything because I thought I could afford it. It means that you believe that you have more than enough because you're stewarding your money wisely. So making more money only helps if you respect every dollar. You can't out-earn poor financial habits. So you have to have a plan. Part of that plan, when you're sitting down and you're being honest with yourself, is asking yourself, what is really important to me? Where does my money need to go? What do I need to set up so my future self is taken care of? What kind of expenses do I have right now that I can cut out that no longer serve me? What are things that I want my money to go towards that will actually serve me? And then setting up that plan so that you don't have to think about it when you go forward with getting your higher income. You already have a plan in place that's going to help guide you, your North Star, so to speak, and help guide you in the direction that you want to go instead of earning six figures and just letting everyone else tell you what you should be spending your money on. You want to go inside of yourself and really think about what it is that you want and then come up with your priorities and have your own plan, because that's going to make you actually feel very wealthy at six figures. The second mistake that I ran into was trying to catch up instead of starting fresh. So I was 40 years old and I only had $150,000 in retirement, making six figures. And I kept thinking, I'm so far behind, I just have to catch up. But the truth is, you can't go back in time. All you can do is start with where you are. So once you stop chasing this idea of I'm behind and you create this imaginary finish line and you're actually focusing on progress instead of perfection, everything is going to change. Just start small and be consistent. So if you need to work on your retirement, for example, what can you do to add 1% more this year? What can you do to add another 1% more next year? You also want to automate your savings. You want to have a financial plan that reflects your life goals, which is something that I talked about in the first one. So there's no such thing as being behind. You've just hit the next level and now you have a whole new set of priorities and you need to start today. Like, what can you do today? What are some things that you can work on today and not feel like you're behind, but you're starting fresh? The third mistake was overspending on status and the wrong things. So this was actually one of my biggest missteps when I became 100,000 figure earner. I didn't have a North Star. I didn't have priorities in line. I ended up buying this like huge expensive house in a very prestigious neighborhood with like retirees from Boeing and Microsoft. And I was like, oh my gosh, I have fast forwarded my life and this is what success looks like. This is what retirees, like how they make it in life. And a lot of my neighbors were actually really curious about my job and questioning if my parents were wealthy or if I came from money, but nope. I built it all myself. So the very first year was amazing. So in my head, I'm still justifying that I made the right decision by buying this really expensive house. But after that first year, I would go to bed so stressed. I would be drained and be so worried just emotionally and financially because the house was enormous. It was 5 bedrooms, 4 bathrooms, and it was only 2 people. So you do the math on that. So yeah, the fantastic scenic views were amazing, but the house, it just didn't make sense. I was fantasizing about a little like 2 bedroom, 1 bathroom, little tiny cabin instead of having this enormous home. So when you start thinking about things like that, it makes you, it's your soul telling you that where you are isn't where you should be. Not only that, but every year there was some repairs to do and they were massive. So it wasn't like, I could take a day or two to paint the house. It would take an entire summer. It took multiple summers to paint the house. And it was 3 stories, so forget about hiring someone. I tried to reach out to contractors and they were like, oh, we don't do 3 stories. And if they did, it was going to be tens of thousands of dollars. So it was completely out of my reach. Anything I wanted to upgrade or renovate, the house was just so big that it took so much money to do very basic things. And so nowadays, property taxes are getting people, insurance is getting people. When I sold my house after my husband passed, it was actually the perfect time because I was barely affording it when we were together. There was no way I could afford it by myself. But now seeing and hearing that insurance has gone up and property taxes have skyrocketed, I'm watching everybody else in the neighborhood now sell their homes. So I know I made the right decision to leave when I did. That's one thing you're going to realize when you hit 6 figures is that you actually have quite a bit more opportunities available to you, but you do still want to live within your means. Today I live in a 700 square foot, 1-bedroom condo with my fiance, and honestly, I'm so much happier. It's more aligned with my goals because I want to do things like save for retirement and save for repairs for my car and save for trips and vacations and visiting my family and for Christmas and things like that. You have to figure out what actually matters to you and not overspend on things that you think everybody else is going to go, ooh, ah, look at them. That's not going to make you happy in the long run. And as a 6-figure earner, that's something that you need to be very strategic with, is finding things that actually matter to you and then spending your money on those things and cutting out other things that don't matter to you. So you can apply this to things like handbags and vacations and living a bougie lifestyle, which there's nothing wrong with that. I'll talk about that in a minute. But being strategic with it and really being careful with the things that you're spending money on, because every dollar is something that you have worked so hard to earn. You don't want to have 6 figures and not have anything left over for yourself because you're giving your money away to so many other things. So that was a mistake that I made. I don't want you to do the same thing. So the bougie lifestyle. I love treating myself to things and I don't feel guilty about it at all because everything else is covered. At 6 figures, you get to decide what is part of your upgraded lifestyle. So what does that mean to you? For me, it means every weekend, my fiance and I make breakfast together and we go get a coffee. Another thing that we do is we buy organic food. We buy very healthy food. It's very important to me that we have that available to us. We are very intentional and careful with the things that we purchase now. And we have our money set up in a way that we are able to go on vacations together. We're able to save for a wedding. So it's whatever is important to you as part of your upgraded lifestyle. You get to decide that, and nobody else gets to tell you, oh, you can't have coffee, you can't have that avocado toast. That's nonsense to me. At 6 figures, you can do what you want, but you have to prioritize it and set your finances up in a way that allow you to have this wealthy lifestyle and have this financial abundance that you have earned. Every dollar needs a job, and you just have to be intentional with the increases in income. Before I earned six figures, every time I would get a raise, I would say, oh my gosh, I can actually breathe again. That's how bad it was for me. I never had a plan. I never had intentions for everything. I just spent what I wanted to, and I didn't have money assigned to have a job. I'm able to structure my finances in a way so that I plan my money months, years in advance. And this is the way billion-dollar financial institutions plan, is they at least 3 years in advance, they know what they're doing. So in 2025 for me is paying off a wedding. 2026 is paying off our condo. 2027 is saving for new cars and purchasing a home. So these are things that I want you to be aware of and to think and act like a millionaire and a billionaire. What these big financial institutions do is how I want you to structure your finances. And that's the last step, is just planning ahead. Think of what your goals are going to be for this year. Think about what your goals are going to be for next year. What do you need to do to break down those goals into monthly or bi-weekly or paycheck-sized chunks so that you can make your financial goals a reality? So start small. You can do this like the next 6 months. Make it feasible, make it smart, make it achievable, make it something that you can do. And as you start to do that, it becomes really exciting, so that you actually have a plan in place, so that when things come along and they're like, I have this amazing opportunity for you, blah, 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 you can check it against your own internal plan and go, you know what, that's a great idea, but I have my plan and I'm sticking to it. This is something that I know where I'm going. I know my direction. And then you don't get distracted by like shiny object things. At six figures, you do need to have some financial foundational basics. So you want to have your retirement figured out. You want to have a sinking fund. You want to have dream fund figured out. Budget for joy. Include travel, include hobbies, include things that make you feel good, because everything that should matter to you should be in a realistic spending plan, and it should feel so good to work towards the things that you want as a six-figure earner. So wealth isn't just what you earn. Of course, we've heard that. It's what you keep and grow and plan for. So if you don't know how to do this, I do encourage you to sign up for my waiting list, the Financial Budget Blueprint, Fearless Financial Blueprint. I'm still figuring out the name of it, but there's so many things that I teach you in there, and a lot of it is created for you so that you don't have to do a lot of the calculations and a lot of the work, because I think that's a lot of the times what gets women stuck, is just not knowing how. So I've built a lot of that in for you, so you can just plug in your big dreams and it will calculate everything for you. Don't blame yourself or feel guilty, because no one actually has taught us how to manage money. Not even like at 50,000 or 70,000 or 100,000. I had to learn through losing my job. I had to learn through getting divorced. I had to learn through moving across the country for a job and becoming a widow at 38. So you know what? I'm also rebuilding, and I had to learn a lot of this stuff myself too. Even being an accountant and in the financial industry, a lot of things just didn't click because I was battling with childhood stories and things that I learned from my past. So I'm at peace with my money and my story. And just because you've made mistakes along the way, it doesn't mean that you're bad or you're behind or that you're stupid. You're exactly where you're supposed to be, and you're learning the lessons you're supposed to learn. Right now, this exact moment, you were meant to be here. You're meant to be here with me and going through and watching these videos and learning for yourself. So no matter what your income is, no matter what your story is or the mistakes that you've made, you can still build the financial life that you deserve. So if this has resonated with you, I would love for you to like and subscribe. Comment below what part of this hit home for you. What are you struggling with? And grab my free money blocks quiz in the description below. You're going to want to know your money blocks, and I have actionable steps for you to overcome those. It's very important and starts you off on your financial journey. And until the next video, I will see you next time.